Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Jim. What's up, buddy? So, Jim, let's do the movie review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Please let me know your thoughts on this film if you've seen it in the comment section below, but no spoilers, as this is a no spoiler review. I'll be talking about the good for this film, then the bad and the verdict. What I rate Guardians of the Galaxy 3 out of 10. I'm also going to rank the Guardians films and rank the main Guardians of the Galaxy. I was really excited for this movie. Did it live up to my expectations? Well, let's get to it with the review right now. So we'll jump straight into the good for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I want to start off with the story. I thought the story was great and a very emotional one. To be honest, I thought this movie was emotional all the way through. I definitely felt for what the characters were going through. Speaking of the characters, of course, as this is a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you've got a lot of characters to talk about. Of course, you've got Star-Lord, who has always been my favourite Guardian, and he definitely did not disappoint in this movie. You've also got Gamora, which I do prefer the previous version of Gamora than this new version. However, I still thought she was pretty great. You've of course got Drax the Destroyer, who's just as great as ever here. You've also got Groot, who is really, really great as well. But the main Guardian of this movie, I would say, is Rocket Raccoon. In my opinion, he was my favourite Guardian in this movie. He was the character that had the most emotion to him. He had a really dark and disturbing backstory. He was just amazing all the way through. He's a character that's really been through a lot. You of course got Mantis and Nebula returning here, and they're both pretty great as well. And you've also got Kraglin, who I think is pretty great. He's not in the film a ton, but from the scenes I do see him, he is a pretty great inclusion. You've of course got Cosmo the dog. I think Cosmo is a pretty cool character. You've also got Lila, who you could say is Rocket's love interest, and she definitely had a lot of emotion to her character. Her and Rocket were fantastic together. There were several times I nearly had a tear in my eyes when Rocket and Lila were together. You've then also got Adam Warlock, who we first saw in the end credit scene in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I thought he was a pretty good character, but unfortunately I have got quite a few negatives to talk about with that character. The final character I'll touch on for the good is Adam Warlock's mother, Aisha, who I thought was just okay here. But what I loved about the characters the most were the relationships and interactions with all the Guardians together. They all just have great chemistry together. I also found the Guardians movies very funny, and I found this one very funny too. Not all the jokes landed, but for me most of them did. When I think of these Guardians movies, one of the first things I think of is the music, and I think the music here is great. I think it could have been slightly better though. In my opinion, there's not enough songs from the 70s, which you got a lot of that in the previous Guardians films. This movie also has really great action. I think it's shot really well, and it's super, super fun to see the action sequences in this film. I think the CGI in this movie is done great. I wouldn't say it's done perfectly, but I still thought it was done really, really well. This Guardians movie also has my favourite moments from any of the Guardians films, but does it mean it's my favourite? Well, we'll find out when I rank the films. I also thought the film definitely ended on a high. It was an awesome conclusion to a great movie trilogy. That's all I've got to say for the good though. We'll now move on to the bad for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Unfortunately, I do have quite a few things to say here. The biggest problem I have with this movie is this film is way too dark in my opinion. I don't think it should have been a 12A. I think this film should have been a 15. I was amazed with how much they could get away with for a 12A rating. There were a few characters I thought could have been written better, such as Adam Warlock and Aisha. It was just the way they were written. I thought they could have been. They could have done a lot more with those characters. I feel like it was wasted potential, especially with Adam Warlock. But the character I liked the least in this film was the main antagonist, being the High Evolutionary. In my opinion, he's one of the worst villains in the MCU. I thought he was mediocre at best. I didn't find his motive compelling. I didn't find him that intimidating. I just didn't really care about the villain for this film. He was also shouting quite a lot in the movie as well. I just wasn't the biggest fan of that character. I also think that some of the decisions made in this movie could have been done a little bit better. Not all the jokes landed, so maybe it would have been nice if a few more jokes did make me laugh. This film is 2.5 hours. To me, that's too long. I think this film could have been about 10 to 15 minutes shorter. I wouldn't change the third act, though, in my opinion. The third act of this movie is pretty much perfect. It's just the first 2 acts I think you could have trimmed a little bit off. We'll now move on to the verdict, and I recommend this film to people who like or love the other Guardians of the Galaxy movies, as well as to people who like superhero films in general. And I rate this film an 8 out of 10. I think it's a great entry to the MCU and a great conclusion to the Guardians movies. There are also 2 post-credit scenes, one mid-credit and one post-credit scene. Nothing amazing, but I'd still recommend sticking around for those 2 scenes. Now let's go ahead and rank the Guardians films and the shows. This is my opinion, of course. You can let me know yours in the comments. My number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 from 2017, which I rate at 7.5 out of 10. My number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which came out in 2022. I also give that a 7.5 out of 10. My second favourite Guardians film is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which of course came out this year, 2023, and of course I rated an 8 out of 10. My favourite Guardians film is still the first one, which of course came out in 2014, and I rate it a 9 out of 10. It's always been one of my favourite Marvel Cinematic Universe films. And now I'll quickly rank the Guardians. There are 9 I've chosen for this ranking. My number 9 is Cosmo. My number 8 is Kraglin. My number 7 is Mantis. My number 6 is Gamora, who would probably be slightly higher if it was the original version of Gamora. My number 5 is Nebula. My number 4 is Groot. Number 3 is Drax. My number 2 and number 1, it was quite tough, but to me, Star-Lord will always be my favourite Guardian. So my second favourite is Rocket Raccoon, and of course my favourite is Star-Lord. Why is Star-Lord my favourite, you ask? I love his taste of music, I love his outfit and his weapons, and I also think his helmets are really, really cool. But I don't want to say much else because soon I'm going to be doing a live stream on my top 5 MCU characters, and Star-Lord is one of them. So is Rocket Raccoon, you'll be pleased to know. But that's it for this video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and again, you can let me know your thoughts on the Guardians films, and this film in particular, in the comment section below, but no spoilers, as this is a no spoiler review. Take care everyone, and ciao.